recording. And I see Earl is on. Earl, I'm going to unmute you.
Okay.
All right.
All right. How's everybody doing? Oh, nobody can hear. Nobody respond.
No one can speak, but Lindsay and I are doing very well.
All right. Can you hear me? And is it loud coming through here, or is it just my voice? I'm in a relatively crowded room.
There's a little bit of background noise, but we can hear you.
Okay. Sorry about that.
All right, so I'm going to...
You gonna kick things off?
So I just did a bunch of housekeeping stuff with the group, but the other thing I wanted to mention was with all the these webinars, we're recording them. We'll send them out through Facebook as well as email. If you have any questions or anything, you can definitely reach out to Earl. A few of you have reached out about fundraising, and if we'll have a fundraising webinar, we're working on scheduling one for you guys in the next couple of weeks, but feel free to reach out to Lindsay or myself to start working on your fundraising plan for the rest of the year. And with that, I'm going to give control to Earl. Yep. And, okay. Earl, I'll unmute you. All right.
I've been unmuted.
Yep.
All right, folks, let's talk through things. I'm going to show you my screen. I'm going to show you my screen in 1 second. Keep it as a top secret for right now. So let's get to my presentation here. And let's make off here. All right. So, how's everybody doing? Can you see my screen? Yes, I'm assuming that you can. I think everybody's been muted now, so I'm not sure if you can hear me or not. So I'm going to try to talk through what we've got here. And we're going to talk about training and training plans. So that's all. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I don't see your screen.
You don't? I just showed you my screen. Let me see. Share my webcam. You don't want to see me right now. Should be here.
There it is.
It says on air. Mine says on air showing screen. Am I just
You got it now.
today? Is that it?
Yep, we got it. You're good.
All right. So what we want to do today, guys, I want to take you through kind of the basic ideas of the training plans. I'm very excited about getting us started here. This webinar, so maybe we're kind of pseudo-met over the webinars. But today we'll go through training plans, and I'll see if we can get through kind of into our presentation. I'll just change some things here on the screen. All right, so first off, that's the first picture. If you don't know me, that's me. That's what I look like. I am the owner and head coach of a company called Tailwind Endurance in New York City. I've been a triathlon coach for about 15 years. I was a collegiate swimmer, done a bunch of Ironmans and other things, but I really love being a coach, and that's something that I think is what I've really enjoyed over the last 15 years is taking people through training and seeing them make that turn, whether it's making that turn and being an elite athlete, or just realizing their goals. It's been a really fantastic journey. So I'm looking forward to this one with all you folks. So today, now that you know who I am, this is what our goals are. So we're going to talk through the schedule and timing of the season. We're going to talk through kind of an assessment, and an assessment now and then an assessment next, how to use that assessment moving forward, and then talk through basically this first adaptation phase of the training. So, the important things that we want to know is kind of obviously right off we want to know when everything's happening and how we're going to build to it. So I'm going to show you a little bit of how I build a schedule and how I build things forward. and then talk about the assessment. Now, we're dealing with a large group of people, so many of you guys, you fall along different ranges. Some of you are beginners, some of you are advanced athletes, some of you are intermediates, and some of you are beginners and advanced runners. So we're going to look at kind of how to sell the program together so that you guys can find the right plan that works for you and make sure that we cover all types of stuff. So if you're joining us for Staffordshire and you're in England, I really am curious about how many of you are really just tired of this whole keep calm thing, or if it's a source of pride that you're still very excited about. So somebody please chime in on that and let me know, because I will either continue to use it or I will stop using it altogether. But, you know, scheduling, our basic idea of our schedule is we're looking at, you know, Raleigh 70.3, if you're feeling Raleigh, you've got 21 weeks to the race. Staffordshire is 23, Mont Blanc is 24, and then Ironman Arizona is 45 weeks. So I know we have people on the call today that are from doing one of these races. So the basic idea, and some way to kind of think about how to do it, is that, you know, a typical, very typical standard program build is 20 weeks. So you have 20 weeks where you go through the different phases of training. And the way that we're doing it for the 70.3s is doing that same on that basic build. And then for the Ironman, it is typically a 40-week build. So the 40-week build allows us to have essentially 2 peaks, where we're able to peak you for an intermediate race in the middle of the season, and then build you forward from there. I'm going to change my screen here. I want to show you guys something really quick.
Hey, Earl.
So you can get a sense. Yes, Sarah?
It's kind of, a couple of people have said it's hard to hear you with the background noise.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Let me see if I can move to a different spot. I'm sorry, guys. It's been it's a little overcrowded where I am today, which is very unfortunate. Let me see if I can find a spot that works a little bit better here. Nowhere to hide around here. Let me see. I'm just going to walk around and speed your laptop computers. Walk around and talk while I go. It's getting a little bit better?
Yeah, I think it's a little better.
All right, sorry about that, guys. Let's see if I can get one more spot here. I'm in a fitness center which is appropriate for the call. Unfortunately, apparently it's rush hour. So how are we doing? Is it a little better?
Yeah.
There we go. The calmer sections here. So let's see if I can do this here, guys. Stand over here in this nice quiet spot, where nobody is right now. I'm going to show you what I was talking about, which is I want to show you guys the schedule and how we do it. This is the calendar that we're going to work with. Exactly where I want. Sorry guys, I want to get the right calendar here so you can kind of see how we build. Here we go. So a lot of you guys gave me a SWOT analysis. Here we go. So a lot of you guys sent us a SWOT analysis, which is really great for us to see and kind of look at strengths and weaknesses. And what we do is, looking here at the schedule, you can see by date as we work our way down. You can go through from this week, which is the 5th of January. And we build out from there. So we start with different phases. So the base phase, the 3 base phases, the base 1, base 2, base 3 phases of training. The focus of those is on getting you ready and getting you prepared to train. So a lot of what we're doing here is working on what we call speed skills, so technical work, and endurance. So the basic work that we can do to get you ready to train your body. So we put in the hard work in the build phases. So if we can get through to those, that's our ultimate goal. So you can see as we go, each phase goes through 3 weeks of specific work, and then you get a recovery week. So everybody loves a good recovery week, right? I'm going to take you up to that recovery week. You can see there's certain things in here. Each of the races is marked with an A because most of your races are A races. So as you can see, we're going for an A race for Raleigh, A race for Staffordshire. What I would strongly recommend in the build phases is for you guys to use this calendar. Look into the build phases as opportunities to add a race. So a B or C, a practice race, whether it's an Olympic distance or a half distance race that you can call a practice. Something for you to work on and build towards. I think that's one of the focuses tonight. So that makes a little bit of sense to you guys. Now, is everybody hearing me okay now? Is it louder, too loud, too quiet? How are we doing, Sarah? Can you hear me at all?
Yeah, we can hear you. It's still a little noisy.
Okay. Oh my gosh, I can't escape it here. There's like nowhere to hide in this place. All right, here we go. That's a quiet spot. Now you can hear me okay, right?
Yes.
I'm sorry, guys. It's been a reconfiguration of my day. So we got through the basic phases and the basic builds that we're looking at. Now let's talk a little bit. We'll go back to our presentation here. Now I lost you, didn't I?
No, you're still good.
Okay.
You're good.
Okay.
It's quiet. You're good.
Good. It's quiet. We're good. All right, so let's go back to our slideshow. Here we are. So we talked through the basic phases of training. So the one thing I really did want to make sure that you guys understood is I do want you to look for races where you can practice. A practice race is not just about actually the physical part of it, but it's also the planning for a race, the preparation that goes into a race, especially for you guys if this is a first-time race. The logistics of racing, these distances is really one of the biggest challenges. If you put in a consistent training effort, you're going to be ready to race the distance. It's the things that can trip us up sometimes is actually more the planning around that. So find a B or a C race. Feel free to ask us about it. I know that Sarah, and I have talked. Like there's opportunity through Smile Train to use some of the half Ironman distances as training races for the Ironman if you're doing Arizona. So talk to us and let's see what we can figure out and see what we can recommend. So that's our calendar. And now let's get back into what we're talking about. So once we get through that, we're talking about assessments. Now the most important thing for you to do is understand who you are as an athlete. So we talked a little bit about assessments. For the swimming, we have different swimmers. A beginner swimmer, and this is important that these are how you understand yourself, because this is how I'm going to treat you in the training plans. It's all in a nice way, but be very honest with yourself so that you're not overdoing it using these plans or underdoing it for that matter. So if you're a beginner swimmer, we're talking about somebody who's brand new to swimming, learning to swim or hasn't really swimming for a very long time. You may have some of the fears about the water, or you may be able to swim, but you're unable to complete 100 meters in less than 2 minutes. So the reason I use that as a guide is because, if you can't complete that amount, that distance in that time, chances are you have a big amount of stroke technique work that is necessary. So putting in training into a bad technique is really not a good idea. It's much more valuable use of your time to go and work with a coach and learn to swim better. Very important thing. Nothing that the other intermediate or advanced people can't do the same. That's important. An intermediate swimmer is comfortable in the water, may have some significant stroke technique issues. Breathing, swimming continuously for more than 5 minutes can be a challenge. Again, probably a little bit less fitness-oriented, more technique-oriented. An advanced swimmer, you're a confident swimmer, you've done multiple triathlons or open water swims, and you have, of course, fought a shark in one. So that's important stuff to know. So that's our assessment of the swim. Kind of make a note there of who you are, where you fit. On the bike, bike riders, you're a brand new bike. You never had one lesson. You were wearing a helmet right now, possibly, as you prepare. That's how excited you are about this. But it's also, chances are, if you're a new cyclist, you are either planning to buy a road bike or buy a triathlon bike. You've been riding maybe, you have a mountain bike or something to that effect. But we're somebody who's really learning. This is where the emphasis is on the education side of the sport, less about the physical, for at least this first 4 weeks. The intermediate, you've comfortably ridden for a while but have never trained on the bike. So you've done loops with your friends, you've gone on rides with friends, you've ridden a century ride, you've done that type of thing, but you've never actually had serious training on the bike where you've ridden hill repeats or you've done interval training or you've been really pushed to your limit on the bike. It's been a nice casual ride and fun, but now we want to take it up a level, and that's what we need to do to really get you ready for this type of training. And you advanced folks, because I love you British riders now, if Bradley Wiggins and Chris Froome got in a fight, you would win. So you are an advanced cyclist. For the runners, beginners, you ran a race once, you lost to little Jimmy in the 3rd grade, and that was last week that the 3rd grader beat you. So you're a beginner runner, meaning you're just getting started. You either have not run at all really in your adult life, or you just want to get started going, or you're overcoming something, an injury or something to that effect. The most important thing about running, and this is really important, something I'll say, for everyone to understand, is running is a slow starter. I have my athletes from the elite level on down. They start really slow with the running. Not meaning they're running slow, but their volume is low, and their paces are more even, less hard things. Running causes the most injuries, and when you couple it with the bike and the swim, it causes more injuries. So a really slow start to your run is important. Weight and injuries have big effects on your run. So if you are looking to, advance your running and you are overweight and you're like, I got to lose, a couple pounds here or there, this is, you want to start losing the weight before you start a serious run program. And it kind of sounds like it's counterintuitive. But, if you have an issue like that and you want to talk to me about it, I'd be more than happy to talk about it offline. But the key here is to be sensible with your running. And we'll talk a little bit about that when we get into the training plan. An intermediate runner is someone who's, very similar to an intermediate cyclist. You run with a group, you enjoy the feeling of the long run. You've done a few races here and there, but you've never really had a structure around your running program. It's been just kind of like out and about doing your thing. An advanced runner is, someone who's running frequently 3 to 4 times a week, that runs with a local running group, or is, somebody who's done a bunch of triathlons and has trained, and you understand things like threshold training and that type of work. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Now, the key indicators is something that's important for me in this training plan, and it's super important throughout the year and throughout the season, but more importantly, it becomes something that you have to really get used to in the beginning. So if you haven't trained seriously about something, this is a great way to create some anchors in your training and to really understand what you're getting into and what you need to focus on. I love this quote: if you cannot measure it, you cannot improve it. It's one that I'm borrowing from Lord Kelvin of the Kelvin scale of thermodynamics. But in each of our 3 disciplines, it's very important to establish a routine and trusted way to test your progress towards your ultimate goal. Ultimately, what we're looking to do is to swim, bike, and run for an extended period of time. For some of us, we want that extended period of time to be faster and faster. For some of us, we just want to get through that extended period of time. So we want to establish goals around that are short-term and measurable and reliable so that we can see progress. The hardest thing when you're starting a training program, any training program, anywhere, is the ability to quantify it and to see actual progress. If you see progress, you will get better, and you will continue. If progress is a mystery, you'll stop doing it, and that's something we do not want. So your improvements must be measured in a repeatable form. So it has to be something that we can repeat over and over again. I have tests that all of my athletes go through, and you guys are going to go through similar tests as we go forward, that are every 4 weeks we do a similar test, and the test gives us progress reports. It's the same test, it's the same workout, it's the same environment, it's very much like a laboratory, and that's what we're trying to do. Your improvements must be tracked with a reliable source. We'll talk a little bit at the end here about training peaks, but if you are using something like a Garmin or a Garmin device, we want to track it. If you're using a notebook that's your training notebook, then we'll use that. But we want to be able to look 4 weeks ago and say, this time I did this, this week I did it this much better. So we'll talk about what each key indicator is. They must be indicators toward your ultimate goal. So knowing that you can bench press 250 pounds is nice, but it really doesn't have that much to do with your ability to swim, bike, or run. We will progress your indicator as we go forward. We'll talk through what the basic indicators are for our base phase, and then those indicators will be improved upon and checked back in throughout the season as we go. So in other words, if we go through, our super basic indicator now, which is a swim test, which is 450s of swimming, you may do that now, and then and for the next 4 weeks we're going to do that test. It may be 12 weeks into the program, we may go back and check in on that one again just to see how we're doing and make sure that we're on target. So those are the things that we like to do, and they help give us that confidence as we move forward. And like I said, if you see improvements, you're inspired to find more improvements, and that is really what we're going for here. We want you to be excited as you run down this path and as you follow this track towards your ultimate goal. So a couple of quick things. The key indicator, so for this phase of training, we have 3 key indicators. We have one for the swim, one for the bike, and one for the run. So for the swim, we're doing something called swim golf. This is if you're a swimmer, you've done this before. And the beauty of these key indicators is it does not matter if you are an advanced swimmer or a beginner swimmer. Each one of these is going to show you whether you're improving or not, and that's the important thing. So as in golf, our ultimate goal in swim golf is to have the lowest score. So after a short warm-up for 5 to 10 minutes, you're going to begin a set of 450. So you're going to go 4 times 50, 50 meters or yards, whatever your pool is. And then after each 50, you're going to add the number of strokes that you took to the time. So you're going to count your right and left strokes. And let's say you take 32 strokes over 50 meters. And let's say it took you 40 seconds to get there. Your swim score is 72. Now, let's say the next time you go 30 strokes, but you go 45 seconds, then your score is 75. So you haven't necessarily improved on your overall score. So what we're looking at is improving your ability to have long, smooth swimming strokes, but also making sure that you're keeping fast, so you're not losing it and getting slower. So we want you to play swim golf once a week. The reality is you can do it at every workout. It's only 200 yards, and it's a great way to kind of work on and practice something. Practicing the tests or the markers or the indicators is a great way to improve them. So that's what we're looking for. So the goal is to get a lower score each time. On the bike, the pedal pusher. Now, we live in New York City, and I'm looking out the window, and it's, I think, 6 degrees here right now. And we are on indoor trainers all the time. So we have an indoor trainer or turbo trainer if you're across the pond. So you guys are working with different things. But our goal is, you can do this on a regular bike. You can just shift into a lower gear, but I strongly recommend having an indoor trainer. Even if you're in San Diego and it's beautiful and you ride outside every day, riding on the indoor trainer, even just for 30 minutes a week, is a great way to work on your pedal stroke. So this specific drill is what we call, it's the pedal pusher. We do a set of spin-ups, and what we're looking for is after a little bit of a warm-up, we want to see if, how your cadence holds together as you increase your pedal stroke. So we want to start in a light gear, and we want to start at a 90 cadence. So a 90 cadence, if you're using a cadence meter on your bike, you can use that, or you can count your right pedal strokes for 20 seconds, and that's going to give you a multiple. So if I count right pedal strokes and I get 30 pedal strokes, 30 times 3, because there's 20 seconds times 3 equals a minute, 30 times 3 equals 90, so I'm at a 90 cadence. So what we want to see with this drill is we want to increase your pedal cadence every 20 seconds until you get to what we call the bounce. And the bounce is when you feel your butt or your seat, we call it your seat, bouncing off of your saddle. So when you feel that bouncing feeling where you're coming off of the saddle and you're not comfortable, and you want to get an indicator of where am I. So some of us are going to bounce off that saddle at 100 cadence. Some of us are going to bounce off the saddle at 125. So we want to see where we get. Now, in advanced cyclist, if you're somebody who's cycling and you've been doing this for a long time, this may just be a drill. This may not even be an indicator because you may be able to get up to 150 RPMs and it's going to be great. But we're looking for quiet bodies and improved pedal stroke. It's going to show us kind of how that works. So that's going to help you understand a little bit of how the pedal stroke works and how to improve your pedal stroke as you get down the line. Ultimately, what we're looking for is improvement. We want to see over the next 4 weeks. If I did this on the first day and I got to 100, by the 4th week, are you at 110, 115 and improving that pedal stroke? Again, this is something you can do at every single workout, is these spin-ups. We do them every day, every time we ride, and it's been a really big improvement on the pedal strokes we see. For the run, this is where we talk about, like we were saying earlier, it's an aerobic run builder. So what we're looking to do, based on your fitness level, we're looking to find 30 minutes or 4 miles, one or the other, where you're running at an aerobic pace. So we're picking a heart rate that is your aerobic pace, or a perceived exertion if you're not using a heart rate monitor, even just a perceived exertion, where we can say, look, I just ran for 30 minutes, and I ran 3 miles. I ran a 10-minute mile, and my heart rate was 130. So that was a really easy run. It was, this should be a run that feels so easy that you can talk the whole time, that you feel really comfortable. And what I'd like to see is you go from that, see if we can improve that over the course of 4 weeks to the point where you are running a 9:50. So you're running, let's say you're running 9 minutes and 50 seconds per mile. So you've increased your distance. So let's say you ran 3.2 miles by the end of your 4 weeks at the same perceived exertion or at the same heart rate. What that's going to give us is an indicator of your fitness. Like, have you improved your fitness? Like, is it getting better? Are you seeing some improvement? Are we moving the dial a little bit? For some of us, we're going to see instant improvements. For some of us, we're going to see tiny little improvements. Some of us, we're not going to see any. These are the things that we want to talk about and kind of the feedback that I'd like to get as a coach, because those are the questions we're going to say. Now, give it 4 weeks, though. Don't run the second week and say, I didn't have any improvement. Give it 4 weeks and let's see where we get. And let's see if we can track it a little bit. All right, now, let's talk about the plan. So, here's the way that we do it. So, I break down the plans. Like I said, you've assessed yourselves now. So based on that, now what I want to do is I want to take this and I want to say, all right, for a beginner racing plan, for most of us from a beginner standpoint, we want to make sure that we're also delivering information that is valuable but is not overwhelming. So you're going to see what the plans look like, and we're going to be able to take them forward. But a beginner racing plan is based on time and schedule, with an introduction to the training zones and an introduction to pacing. You can take that as far as you want to take it. It's focused on technique and a safe build to fitness. I'd like to say that a healthy body is the most important thing. You can build a racing body on top of that. And we strongly recommend personal coaching to the beginners, specifically in the swim and on the ride. These are 2 areas that are important to your safety in general, and not only just to your health. Swimming technique is so important, and it makes a big difference. Cycling, it's about safety. It's about being safe on the road, being a safe rider on the road, being able to ride with other people on the road, and making sure that you are not a hazard to yourself or to the other racers. So working with a cycling coach can actually strongly improve your skills and your confidence when you're out there. The reality is that, let's face it, over the course of an Ironman or half Ironman, you're going to take thousands of pedal strokes. So if you have a hitch or you have an issue with your bike fit or an issue with your pedal stroke, the chance of injury does increase a ton with that. For our intermediate racers, we kind of step things up just a little bit. So we understand that you have a basic understanding of the sport that we're dealing with, whether it's a swim, bike, or run. And we're going to provide you information within zones, so in an understanding of zones. When I say you're going to be in a zone 4 or a zone 5 or a zone 2, we want you to kind of understand the perceived exertions that are going along with that. We'll talk about goal setting, and we want you to kind of be able to form your own goals as you move forward. So knowing that if you're running at this pace, you want to run at that pace, moving that way. Your workout durations and intensity will tend to be a little bit longer just because you're a little bit better prepared for this.
But the same idea we strongly recommend with the swim, even at the intermediate level, we want you working with a coach on the swim, just to work on that technique thing. There's so much lost opportunity in the swim, and the swim has such an effect on the overall race. I know people say this, that it doesn't all the time, but I can tell you the swim is so important. If you are in the water for 2 hours at the beginning of an Ironman, please don't even think that that's not going to have an effect on the rest of the day. It absolutely will. So we need to improve those things and make them better. I do recommend a B and C race schedule for both beginners and intermediates and advanced. So we can talk through that in another call. And then for our advanced folks and a little bit for the intermediate, I'm joking about submit your coaching resume, but if you're a coach and you're looking for coaching time, please give me a call. But we use power and wattage on the bike. We use the VDOT, which is a pacing calculator we use for the run, and we use heart rate zones as well. If you're somebody that's training with power, or you're using an indoor trainer or that type of thing, I'm happy to talk you through a little bit of some of that work as we go. I do strongly recommend, and for the intermediate and advanced folks, training with a local group does make a big difference. We will provide the plans, and we will provide training plans and guidance. But there is a great opportunity, especially in a master's swim program, to get better. If you're swimming anywhere, you want to be able to keep your pace. Like in New York City, I know we have an issue because it's so crowded, and it's hard to even swim at a decent pace in a pool because it's so crowded. But working with a master swimmer and a master swim coach with structured workouts with people that are pacing on the same pace can definitely lift your effort levels. And the same applies to running and cycling. Even my elite athletes that I write all their plans and their detailed workouts, they run with other people that are outside of our training program simply because company loves company. I won't say misery because this isn't a miserable thing that we're doing. So those are kind of how we'll move things forward. And I want to show you now, and we'll email this out to you guys today, but this is the structure of the first week. So you guys can see what the first week of training looks like. And let me see if I can find it. Smile Train 2015. Here we go. So this is an email. This will come out in an email to you. And this is the format. So we're going to do 2 different formats of workout delivery. One is going to be through Training Peaks. So I will explain how we'll deliver the Training Peaks stuff in a minute. And I kind of want to know, and Sarah had mentioned we could do polls. Sarah, did you say we could do polls? Can we do a poll and see who is using Training Peaks?
Yeah.
If anybody on this call is?
Yeah, you just gotta give me about a minute or so.
Take your time. No rush. Actually, while Sarah's working on the poll, I'm going to take you guys through a little bit of my poorly formatted, I'm not sure what happened here, document, but I will clean that up for you for the next round. So essentially what we're working with here, this is our first week of training. And basically this is, I'll be honest with you, it won't change much over the next 3 weeks. And I know some of you guys are going, well, I've been training, I'm in great shape, I should be doing this. If you're in great shape and you feel fantastic, then I would like to see you do some of the, at least at minimum, do some of the key indicator workouts. Because that's feedback based and that's going to give you something. From a fitness standpoint, our goal is to give you a slow, steady intro to fitness. That's what a base period does. We call it an overload period. So for those of you who are just getting onto a training program, even a 30-minute run is an overload if you have not been running. So even for myself, who's been, I've been training on and off for, I feel like my entire life now. But even for me, I haven't been running in 3 months. So if I were to go out and run for 30 minutes, that's an overload for me, even though I have done, I have a past where I've done other types of events. So keep that in mind. So we're in an overload period. So our goal ultimately is to always be in somewhat of an overload period. And we spend 3 weeks building to an overload, and then we spend a week recovering. And that's how your body absorbs the fitness that we're building. So you guys can read through this when it comes out, so I don't have to talk through this. this is the structure of the workout that will come out to you in a PDF form every week. So every week we'll provide this type of workout. We'll also provide a little bit more of an overview as we go forward. So this is our first week. So the first week looks like this. So I put the intermediate athletes on the left-hand side because that is kind of the core workout that will be delivered as in the intermediates. And then if you're an advanced athlete, you can see in your column an adjustment based on that, and beginner athletes. I have a week structure here that I like to use. This doesn't mean that it fits your week. So part of this is also we'd like you to look through and say, all right, well, I need to move. This is your Monday. So Monday is your day of looking at your week and saying, all right, this is what I've got. It's typically your off day from physical activities. It's your catch-up day. It's our first day of the work week. It's the first day of kids going back to school. It's all those wonderful things. So you have to kind of get your plans down there. So your first day is typically your chance to look ahead and see what you've got and make adjustments to the schedule as needed. If you're an advanced athlete, it may also be your day where you do a bonus of an endurance day, where you add 30 to 60 minutes of an easy spin on the bike, or Pilates, or a yoga, or work with a PT. For beginners, it's a great day to work with a coach, and for everybody. But for everybody, it should be an off day. Like it should be a physical day where your body is really recovering from the week, from your weekend activities in the week ahead. The thing you always have to remember, it's not about the individual workouts here. It's about the accumulation of fatigue over time. So you're going to have 6 days in a row where you're going to have some sort of physical activity. Your body's going to be fatigued. You have to give it rest. So it's not so much that your Sunday workout was so hard. It's that for the past 6 days you've had something to do, and you need to give your body a break. So that's really important as we go forward. Tuesdays we talk about the run, or Tuesdays we talk about the ride. So I'm going to make that adjustment right there. So what we do on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're riding. So in the beginning stages here, we talk about doing drills, single leg drills, which are really important for development of pedal stroke. We'll try to post a video online. Maybe, Sarah, we can do that on the Facebook page of some single leg drills. And so people can see what those look like. And then, we're looking at what we call TOTS, which is time on the saddle. Not to be confused with time in the saddle, it's time on the saddle. So it's very important that you pay attention to your time there. And again, I'm a big fan of the Indoor Turbo Trainer, especially this time of year. So I will provide indoor trainer workouts with every training plan for you to follow. If you are not going to use those, we will obviously have other ones. But a lot of times what happens is, at this time of year, we're looking for just that time on the saddle where you're out there and you're moving and you're riding. The indoor trainer gives us a chance to work on things like pedal stroke and some of the pace work and some of the things like that. Whereas otherwise, we're pretty much just out getting a good ride in and trying to build a base for the next 3 to 4 weeks. If you're an advanced rider, we want to increase your duration of it. If you are a new rider and you are just kind of in that discovery phase of your new bike or of your bike in general, a gear pyramid where you're working on shifting and kind of moving through the different gears is a great way to do it, to kind of teach yourself how to use the gears and how to progress. Moving on to the run, we talked a little bit about the aerobic run. Your aerobic run build, there are 6 runs in this build. So that means for 2 runs every week, you're going to do this type of aerobic run build. It may not be the most exciting thing in the world, but it will be really exciting when you realize that you are running faster at the same heart rate and your fitness level has increased, and we see that improvement very quickly in the next 6 weeks. So stick with it. It's the same description here. I do incorporate these body weight exercises at the beginning of every run for everyone. I'm not a huge believer in just going out and starting to run. I think you need to do these things. I think they're great for your body. I think they structurally make your body sound. It's important as you guys go into this phase of training that you realize that this base phase is exactly what it's called. It's a foundation for your training. You're not training to race right now. You're training to train. So you've got 3 phases of base building where you're getting your body ready for some really hard work. So forget about the race right now. Don't even think about that as your goal. Think about the fact that by the time we do that first build period, you're going to get a workout from me that's going to make you go, oh my God, are you serious? So that's what I'm looking for. So advanced runners, same thing, just you're going with 4 miles instead of, and you should know basically what your heart rate is, so 4 miles at that heart rate. Again, if you've been running a ton, that's great, but I challenge you to do this type of workout over the next 3 weeks, and let's see what happens and see if we can find some of that gain. Beginner runners, the same time period. I still want 30 minutes of movement, but if you haven't been running, I'd like you to break down the ratio and do a ratio where you do either a 4 minutes of running, 1 minute walking, 3 minutes of running, 1 minute of walking, or 2 and 2, just based on what your needs are. You are in that same space of, look, if you do it and you stick to the program and you stick to the plan and stay healthy, if your body stays healthy, your body will get fitter. It's simple. It's a simple fact. So don't overdo it just yet. Be patient, let the run develop, and then we'll see where we can go. See too many people walking into the physical therapist's office. For the Thursday and Friday of this week, we have the same effort. And now this is an area where I have a Friday and a Saturday swim. Now I'm a firm believer in swimming 2 days in a row. And the reason being, because it is so technique heavy and so technique related, there's just a tremendous benefit from getting those back-to-back swims, especially if you're new to swimming. If you're an advanced swimmer and you're swimming with your local masters team, stick to your program, keep doing what you're doing. Do the swim golf with the masters team. I'm sure they would love it. I'm sure they've done it or heard of it before. But if you're an intermediate or a beginner swimmer, for the intermediates, the Friday, Saturday swims are important because we keep everything you do for intermediates is going to be essentially under 100 yards at a time. That gives you the opportunity to do 100 yards, take a little rest, and then reset your body and reset your focus so we're not practicing bad habits. It's all about getting away from bad habits in the swim. That's really, really important. If you're a beginner, I'm not even going to give you a workout. I want you to find a local swim coach and call them and get an appointment to work with them. There's no point in just banging your head against the wall or slapping your face against the water for that matter until you can get somebody to really help you get down the basics of the swim. So I really suggest that. I can't suggest it strongly enough. A good swim coach makes all the difference, especially now. Do it now. Spend 3 weeks working with the swim coach. You can see vast improvements in that amount of time. Saturdays and Sundays are our longer days, so we spend a little bit more time out there. And again, if your schedule is if you have Tuesdays off and that's your long day, then move these workouts to Tuesday. Right now, there's not a bait that won't cause a major issue or disturbance in the program and your build-up. For the swimming, just 10-minute efforts, just nice long endurance efforts, nice and slow with the same warm-up as prior. For the long run, what we want to do for your intermediate folks and for the advanced folks, we're going 60 to 75 minutes, nothing too advanced. If you haven't been running, though, I would probably still keep it to like 45 to 60 minutes, a little bit lower, just so we're not overdoing it in this first week of training. And then what I'd like to do, if you can, get back on that same aerobic run route and run it. The more practice you get on it, the better you're going to find it and the better you're going to be. So that's what I'm looking for the advanced. For the beginners, let's try to get up to about 40 minutes of running, 40 to 45, but without causing too much damage. Stick to the same ratio. I would like to see you stick to that same ratio until your body tells you otherwise. Of either a 4 to 1, a 3 to 1, or a 2 to 2 run to walk ratio. And then Sunday is your outdoor ride. Oftentimes you will see that triathlon coaches will have you do a Saturday long ride and a Sunday long run. Unless I have a scheduling issue that you can deal with, I much prefer you to ride on Saturday or ride on Sunday. I don't believe in the concept of having you run on tired legs unless you're doing a brick workout. I would like to see you run on fresh legs. Your body stays healthy if it runs with good form. Your body gets broken if you run with bad form. So having you early in your season or early in your training programs doing runs on, quote, tired legs, that just is going to cause damage and create poor form. So I would much more like to see you run like a runner for the beginning part of this training phase. so you can really be good at it. I mean, ultimately what we want is I want you to be a good athlete. I want you to be a better athlete than you are today as we progress through that. And those are the things that are really important to us. So that's kind of where we sit. I'm not sure, I don't talk too much right now, and we will, at a later date, we'll talk a little bit about strength training. If you're currently doing strength training, I'm fine with that. If you're introducing strength training, it's a good idea to try to introduce it now. Working with personal trainers is a great idea. I'm not a big fan outside of the body weight stuff that we do before the runs. I don't think you need a ton more than that. I will say that athletes over the age of 35 do need to do strength training. You must do some form of strength training at least once a week. It can be the body weight stuff for right now, but it could be more advanced depending on your access to that type of thing. So I do think it's really an important part of the training and making sure your body's healthy throughout the season. So that is the basic outline of the week. Like I said, each week we're going to send this out, and it's going to come to you in the form of an email in a PDF format. And then from there, we will also upload this to Training Peaks. So if you're not familiar with Training Peaks is an online software company. We will provide a link for you if you would like to register for Training Peaks, and then you can go into the Training Plans section of Training Peaks, and we can have your workouts delivered. The only thing we need to know is we need to know if you've registered and if you're using Training Peaks, so that we can track it and make sure that we're providing it in the right formats for you. So that's the key indicator. Like I said, next week we'll get a very similar plan. We're not going to, a lot of it is repetition in this first phase. So if you think about it from the sense of you're practicing a skill rather than trying to change up and get super fit right now, you're practicing a skill. You're getting back into all these sports, and we're getting you moving again. So that's our focus for the season. I think that's all I have on training plans. Sarah, am I missing anything?
No, I created the poll so I can launch it and see if we can get some responses for Training Peaks, if you want to do that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So everyone should be able to see this poll. So who has Training Peaks? Yes, I use it all the time. Yes, but I never use it. I'm usually guilty of that. Earl knows I have it. It's just never been... But now I'm starting to use it. And nope, never heard of Training Peaks. What are you talking about? Just take a second to click. And I will close the poll. And I should be able to, let's see. Usually you can, I can share the results. Yes.
All right, let's see what we got.
So large majority does not have it, but that doesn't mean they don't want to use it. They just don't have it. So, but that's good information.
So we can.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's great information. Yeah, so we can, and what we could do is potentially what we could do, folks, is and see what the interest level is. We could do a quick webinar about Training Peaks and what it offers, and introduce it. I use, just so you guys understand, I use Training Peaks. And what it is, it's a calendar tool, and from anywhere from a beginner to an advanced athlete, it provides me a lot of information. It allows an easy delivery of training plans, so you can have the plan right in front of you. It also provides metrics if you're tracking your power numbers, your heart numbers, or just your general workouts. You can see kind of the build over the season. So it's just an easy tracking tool, not a necessary tool. Don't get me wrong. It's not the most important in your training. So we'll deliver things in both formats so you can have easy access to everything. And of course, if you have a suggestion or you want it in a different way, you can let us know, and we can make adjustments as needed.
Okay. And then question that came up is, which I think you answered, is what is the BNC schedule?
Okay.
And then...
Well, I can elaborate on that one.
Go ahead.
The BNC the BNC schedule is essentially races that are, the recommendation for the BNC is during your build periods, like one of the focuses of your build, if you were around for our periodization conversation, the build phases are we really start to hone in on what your race pace is going to be and how you're going to accomplish your races. So the BNC schedule, we're looking for races. Typically, if you're going to do a half Ironman in those build phases, we'd like it to come, as close as possible to being right before a recovery week. But obviously, we know schedules don't always work that way. So you're training through the race. So it's a B race, meaning you're not going for a PR here. You're not necessarily trying to be the fastest you've ever been, but you're trying to get a little experience out there on the course and experience racing. If you're a new racer and you haven't done an open water swim, I really strongly recommend it. You can even take a B and C race. Like a C race could be a sprint race, a sprint triathlon that's a local sprint that you do on the weekend, and that's your workout. So that could be your weekend workout. So you don't need to taper for it. You don't need to do anything like that. So those are experiences, not necessarily key races, and they're great training tools. So if you do have those on your schedule, let us know. We can kind of talk through what you want to do and how you want to plan those a little bit.
Another question that came up, assuming the workouts will be different for different races. So we obviously have a mix of people on the call, but do you want to go ahead and answer that?
Sure. So as we move ahead, so what we're doing is we're kind of kicking off the season with this first week and this first phase. Everyone should be in a base phase right now. Everyone is starting the same. So the workouts are relatively simple, relatively basic right now. Especially, the reality is that, what we have to do, just to give you a sense of how I build it, a base phase of training is all about fitness, like I had said, and preparing your body for the training. The build phases is where we're going to get very specific to the races. So we're going to really looking at terrain and things that are different. Like I know the Raleigh course. I've had a couple athletes race it before. I know that there's just a crusher of a hill going up and back on the run. So you're going to get a little bit more run training. For instance, I know that Arizona obviously is a very flat course, but it can get windy and hot. So we'll talk through some of that stuff. So each course has its own nuance. Mont Tremblant has, a 12K of climbing at the end of the bike course. So as we get into those build phases, each workout will be based very, very much on the course and achieving, success on the course. So yeah, we will tailor it. It will be a little bit similar. You'll feel like it's mostly similar workouts moving forward in this first phase because we all have the same goal, which is get our bodies prepared for training. And to be honest with you, a lot of times what happens is you get a little bit of mental fatigue. If you keep telling me I got to do this, I got to do that, it gets a little bit crazy. So we want to make sure that we're shifting, your focus as you move forward to keep it fresh and interesting. So a good question, very good question.
I can even answer the next question. Is the Garmin Connect an option for the connection with Earl or the delivery of the plan? So if they have a Training Peaks account, which is free, the Garmin Connect, there's a simple option through Garmin Connect and Training Peaks that you can opt into so that when you upload all of your files and information from your Garmin, it automatically syncs into your Training Peaks. Right?
Exactly. Excellent answer.
The Training Peaks app is it's very easy to use, and it's super helpful to keep track every day, and having your plan in there so that you can look at it throughout the day, and then you literally just walk into your room that your Garmin is synced up with, and it'll automatically flow into Training Peaks.
Pretty amazing.
I just looked at mine.
Good.
Anybody else have any questions for Earl? Just the next question, Earl, was does Strava connect?
I don't know if Strava connects directly. I don't know if I can necessarily upload. I can tell you what I can do. I can't upload the workouts to Strava for you. I don't think I can do that. But I can follow you on Strava. If you shoot me an email, I can follow you and I can look at some of your results on Strava. And that's one way that we can communicate, which is actually pretty nice.
I know one of our athletes created a Ironman, at least for Arizona, but a Strava team. So that maybe we can do that for all the events. If anybody's on Strava, they join that.
Yeah. And that's a great idea, and I love Strava. I think it's such a great tool. So if you guys don't have the Strava app, it just makes a lot of stuff really easy. And it is one of those things, if we create teams, you can create Strava teams and you can share experiences, share some of your training. It's a really nice little social way of looking at things.
Okay. Any other questions? Going once, going twice.
Guys, don't be shy. If you don't have questions now, you have my email address. I'm happy to answer them. We will, as we go forward, get very detailed, and I will, well, two things. I apologize for all the noise at the beginning of the call. I really am sorry about that. But, you know, if I tend to speak in coach speak, and you need a clarification on a term or something like that, don't be shy. Sometimes I tend to rattle off. It's like a different language. So we will do our best to kind of provide definitions and clarifications as we go ahead with training. But if you have a question, just shoot me an email, and hopefully I'll be able to get back to you pretty quickly.
All right. Well, I think that is it for now. Obviously, again, you have Earl's email. We'll be sending information out to you, and you'll begin to receive emails from Earl with the training plan on a weekly basis. And we'll send you out the Training Peaks information as well. Thank you all for your time, and until
Thank you, guys.
All right. Taking back control.